What's up, guys? Welcome to the Highlight Series. This is episode 3. We're here with Cam Kimball. Cam, how are you?
Doing pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Out here in Costa Mesa.
Where it all started.
Where it all started. Why don't you walk us through how long you've been doing the job?
I've been doing this job 12 years. I started with Jordan selling alarms for Vision Security for about 2 months, and then moved on to Vivint and left there a couple times, and now we're here at New Sun Power.
So we're out here in Costa Mesa. This is where it all started.
Yeah.
What are some thoughts as you think back to when it first started? Did you think you'd still be doing the job? What did you kind of learn your first year that you wish you would have known now?
I think the biggest thing I learned when I first started was my parents actually told me to go get a real job. And I think hearing that every day, like being told what to do, and like I wasn't going to listen to what they were saying because I'm definitely very entitled. I wanted to make sure this was going to work no matter what. And now my mother actually is selling solar with us. So
how did she do last week?
Last Sunday she did 9 welcome calls, which is better than everyone in my office that did it. And her numbers weren't even actually on our sheet. So we actually did 80 last week.
It's amazing. So 80 closes in a week.
Yeah.
Did you ever think when you first started, what was kind of like your mindset when you first started? Just to get by, just to pay some bills? Or was it like, hey, this is great, I'm going to do this forever? What were you thinking?
I think the biggest thing I was thinking, if you know me, I'm quiet, I'm shy, I don't like spotlight, I don't like the camera. I thought this was kind of a means to an end, just to like get by it in my situation at that point. And then after a year, I just thought to myself, no, I can do this, and it's time to move forward. When
you first started, did you have a ton of success right off the bat, or was it kind of one of those things you kind of gradually worked into it?
It definitely took me a couple of years. I think my first year I sold 40 alarms, and I think my next year I sold 100. But because even though I sold 100, I did such bad deals, I made the same amount of money I sold when I did 40.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think it happens. Everyone kind of has their different timelines of how they start, right? And people think on how you start is first week, second week, but a lot of times it's first year, second year, third year, because our stories are kind of similar. Like I did fine my first year, better my second year, third year, better. And then I look back, I'm like, oh, it wasn't until my 5th year that I actually made the decision, like, okay, I might be decent at this, I should keep going.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for me is I made 30 grand and 39 grand. And then I was told, hey, we should probably not do this job anymore. And then the next year I made, I think, 170.
Yeah.
So kind of changed the game after I had the embarrassing talk from my parents.
The breakout year.
The
breakout year. So here you are, you've done alarms, and you're now doing solar. I guess walk us through those comparisons. I mean, I think a lot of times when you do this job, just like in life, like good's the enemy to great, but you also only know what you know. And, I think in the moment you're like, oh, this is awesome. But it's not until, I always tell everyone when it's good's the enemy to great is, dude, making 200 grand's awesome, but not if you can go make 4. And making 30 grand's great, but not if you can make 100. And so kind of walk us through that compared to now, where you're at now, what your office is doing, why solar. Walk us through maybe some of that aspects.
I think the biggest thing for me over the last 3 years of like learning, like one, how to grow better and not just like be stagnant and do everything, is watching. I had 7 reps last year make over 300 grand. So for me, I think my top rep made 170 at most. It was Facundo, but after that, like nobody else made over 150 grand. Their first full year, all my managers made over 300 grand. And I think that's the biggest thing. I've made good money, but watching other people make the money you've been making is even better.
For sure, and I think that's kind of the eye-opening thing for me is, yeah, you're good. You've always been good at the job. You're going to go make good money. But having your guys now go make really good money that's the exciting thing is you can go down. Even, dude, we were in correlation today. A setter made 6 grand yesterday. Not like he thinks he made 6 grand. He had 4 deals closed. His paycheck next Thursday is 6 grand, which is awesome. And that was just on a Monday, right? And I think the opportunity we have now to not only sell solar, but the way we're selling solar, the way we're going door to door, the way we're conducting our business, it's an opportunity that we never had before. What for you? What does the next 5 years look like for Cam Kimball?
I think my goal over the next 5 years would be on both coasts. Like if I can be able to grow both coasts, because obviously things change in California, but it's not a loss when there's small victories everywhere else. So over the next 5 years, it'd be in the East Coast, West Coast, and go dominate Arizona.
Yeah, Yeah. What are some takeaways? You've kind of evolved from, being decent at selling to being good at selling to now leading and running a really good team. What are some things you've learned along the way as far as leadership goes and managing people and managing egos and managing, confidence, low confidence, babysitting, all that? Kind of walk us through like leadership 101. What have you learned?
I think listen before you speak. A lot of times I think I have the most colorful group at New Sun Power, and I deal with a huge personality. So, and they happen to be all best friends, which is also fun. But understanding the reps before understanding like the friendship.
Yeah.
Because if you don't understand like the rep, like our biggest thing is like per rep average. Like we're second every week, but we have 55 reps. And the other teams have 300 and they do 25 more. I'm like, that's good, but we had 300 reps. I bet you we do 500 accounts.
Yeah.
So our main goal is like focusing on the rep like each day so they're getting better, not really focusing on the number of reps we have.
As far as growing your people, what does it look like? What do you feel like you know now that you wish you would have known as a leader in instilling like a bigger vision and creating more energy and more momentum for guys to think bigger, go accomplish more, and to go attack the day harder?
I think last year I didn't sacrifice my own time for as much as this year. I didn't allow people to grow. And so I have reps like Taylor Ford, who's on the top leaderboard every week, like now part of housing, now is part of making decisions with me. That if you haven't met Taylor Ford, we found him off Craigslist. And he's never really made good money, but last year he made great money. Just like showing him the ropes. So now come next year, I know if I leave for a week, there's like everything's gonna stand.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing you learn in leadership is, they say if you can go delegate 80% of it, go delegate it. Because they say you can go inspire millions, but you can only carry 3 to 4 people on your back, right? And I think sometimes my mistakes I made early on as a leader is I tried to go do everything. And I tried to wear every hat, and it becomes overwhelming. It becomes, kind of compressing on what you actually can go give to people. And I think when you go delegate, I think Taylor Ford's a good example. I look at a Taylor Ford, you found him on Craigslist. First couple of years, he was kind of okay, and he gradually got better. He's kind of like us, right? In the sense of like every year he gets a little better, and then boom, last year he killed it. And now he's a leader, he's a manager, he's doing the leadership things. But I think a lot of that stems from, did we elevate him early on enough? Probably not. And we probably, I think all of us or those listening to this is you got to kind of go look at, hey, who are your horses, and go bet on all of them. And I think guys will always shock you and surprise you. If you can go allow them to go wear a bigger hat, they usually fulfill it, and they jump to the occasion, and they rise to the occasion, and they go fill it, and they shock you. And I think, I was in Correlation today. Bruno, who was setting a year ago, now he's running Correlation. Taylor Ford, kind of same thing. It happened a year prior. And it's like before you know it, you look back and you're like, man, I created leaders. I think the biggest thing as a leader is you're kind of glorified by how many more leaders you can create, not how much money you make. It's hey, how many times can I go duplicate myself over and over and over again?
And I think the biggest thing for us, like if I leave for like 2 days, is the office still going to run?
I think that's the number one sign is, have you created a system that works? Is if I disappear, it's that quote. It's, hey, you set it up so correctly, guys will say, hey, I woke up, I did it myself. And it's like, that's a sign of a leader is like, are people having success if I step away? If they're not, you have a bad system. You have a bad culture, and you're not empowering and delegating and inspiring your leaders to step up, right?
And I think that's the biggest thing, like with Jake and Bruno, that's what they've helped us out with. Is like, if we're not here, it's okay, we got your back.
Yeah, the system should be able to run without you, right? And obviously there should be a subtle bump initially when you're running the show. I think that's always a sign of a good leader, but also a sign of a good leader is, can the leader step back and things still run? And if you can't, then it's a broken system.
Yep.
And it's not a system that's built to last. What piece of advice would you give brand new rep watching, first year doing the job? What advice would you give them that you wish you would have known back then that you know now?
So when I first started, I grew up with my brother who dominated, Jordan dominated. Just know it's okay to fail and be okay with it. Like, failing's okay, that's a win, because then you're understanding what you're not gonna do next. And so if you're failing every day, it's okay as long as you're getting better and not doing those same things every day. But if you keep going back to the same things, that's kind of on you. Constant improvement's obviously the win.
Yeah, I think this job's a lot like baseball. It's a lot like some sports where it's like, hey, you can go bat 300 and make the Hall of Fame. this job's unique because you hear a lot more no's than yeses. And you can go put the same daily inputs every day and get very different results, right? And I think to kind of echo what Cam said is failing's part of the job. It's part of understanding, hey, this is the lane I'm in. I'm a setter. I'm the best setter now. I'm a setter captain. Boom, now I'm a closer. I'm a bad closer. And I'm going to go fail, and I'm going to progress, and I'm going to get better. And then like we kind of always talk about, I think the beauty of the job is, dude, you get to go figure out who you are and reinvent yourself every day. And you get to go impress yourself and look back and be like, dang, I'm a different person than I was 6 months ago, right? And so I think that's super good advice. Well, with that being said, any other words of wisdom?
Don't become a forever setter, like always trying to grow.
Yeah.
Like, if your goal's always set, you'll never do good at this job.
Because you're just gonna be stuck. You're gonna be monotonous, just on a slow conveyor belt in that lane, right?
It's a sushi lane, you know?
Sushi lane, sushi lane. Well, that's all I got. Cam Kimball, thank you. Appreciate your time.
How's it going?
Let's go.